Grief doesn't just break your heart. It can shatter everything you thought you knew, what you believe in, what you trust, what gives life meaning. Even your relationship with God, with faith, with spirituality, with whatever once helped you feel anchored or connected in life. For some people, grief makes you reach for more depth or connection. For others, it creates a greater disconnection or distrust or anger or even rage. And for many, including myself, it does both. If you've ever found yourself questioning what you believe after loss, or especially after a painful disruption, or feeling disconnected from something that once grounded you, or maybe you're discovering new beliefs that you never had before and it's kind of unsettling you, this video is for you. Today, I want to talk about how grief can change your relationship with the concept of the divine, with God, faith, or even meaning itself, and why that's actually very normal, and how this can be part of the grief process itself without telling you what you should or shouldn't believe in. And near the end, I'm going to share just a simple reflection that you can sit with, especially if this is something that you're navigating through right now, because I know how unsettling it can feel. Before my brother suddenly passed away, I would have said I had a deep, strong, solid connection to God. I was on a soul path. I had strong beliefs, and I was always seeking answers and guidance and spirituality with wonder and awe. And then my life completely turned upside down. Everything I thought I knew or believed in came crashing down. I felt hurt, I felt angry, I felt betrayed, and I had a hard time even using the word God for a very long time because it was painful, like something I once leaned on or called upon and just let me down. And while this is my personal experience, it's not just about me. I see this all the time in my work with people. Grief has a way of stripping everything away, the very things that once brought us peace and comfort. And I know for me, it shook the very foundation I thought I was standing on and shut me down for a long time. But then something did start to slowly shift, not necessarily with all the answers, and definitely not certainty, but just more curiosity, more openness, like these new paths started opening up. And I'm still navigating that. But I've also found a new connection with the divine, but one that includes my grief, one that includes the questions and the anger and the hurt and my grief. And it's not wrapped up in certainty for me. And that's what I consider my relationship with God now. It includes my grief. It's ongoing. And I share this because I know how grief changes us to the core, inside out. Sometimes it closes us off. Sometimes it cracks something open. And oftentimes it does both at different times. Because when we are experiencing something that just shakes us to our core, turns us upside down, earth-shattering, life-altering, and any just heartbreak and pain, it makes us question everything. It cuts us straight to the depth of our soul. It's the part of us that asks why. What does this even mean? What's even real anymore? Can I trust life again? So whether you believe in God or higher power or spirit or the universe or just nothing at all, just know that grief often disrupts the way you make meaning. What once might have felt steady for you doesn't anymore. Or maybe what you relied on before feels unsettling and just unfinished. And now what comes next isn't clear, and that's unsettling. And that's the kind of disruption is a part of the grief process. It is a part of the spiritual process of grief. And it often comes with deeper questions. And so speaking of, that's why I want to offer you something that you can reflect on and sit with for yourself and even ask yourself, how has grief changed what I trust or believe in now? And you can just write it down or say it out loud or maybe even both, but just notice what comes up for you. Sometimes it's enough to just acknowledge what's changed in you, whether that's doubt or distance or longing or searching or openness or curiosity or just even a new way of relating altogether. It all belongs to a part of your process, and that alone deserves space. I know how loss and heartbreak just turns you upside down and makes you question everything and sometimes makes you feel like you're going crazy. And it doesn't just show up spiritually, it shows up emotionally and mentally and physically. I actually walk through all of that in my free guide called You're Not Crazy, You're Grieving, which I'll link below if that's something that you want to explore or if you feel it would be helpful for where you're at right now. And if this is your first time here, hi, I'm Destiny Ray L. I'm a trauma-informed grief and life coach. And this is the work I do every day with people navigating loss and life, and they want more meaning in their lives again. So if you're looking for that kind of support as you may be going through your own grief process or your own life journey, I do offer one-on-one private coaching in my sunset to sunrise journey. And I'd love to invite you to schedule a free call with me. And, it's just a way for us to connect and see how I might be able to support you, which I would love to do. So I'll leave all of that link below. And in the meantime, just know that I know how hard this can be, especially after loss and heartbreak. And if, and I say if, but if you believe in destiny, maybe it landed you here. And either way, I'm so glad it did. And thank you for being here. And I'll see you in the next video.